Hello and welcome to Healing with Energy, Step 3. My name's Richard Clark, and on this video I'll be demonstrating how to heal the energy of the body which is not connected with anything material. These are more energy channels and the systems of the body that have been damaged, have broken down and are not working. The energy is not flowing through them. Step 2, Healing with Energy Step 2, that concerns healing the energy of the body itself, which is a video that's already been posted. Okay, before I go any further, I'd like to say, as usual, that I'm not a doctor, a physician, a scientist or a therapist. I'm not trained in any such things. You can use my methods as well as any medication you're on, but please don't use them in place of. If you're under the advice of any healthcare professional, please continue listening to that advice. I cannot advise you in any way medically. Also, these methods, while I've used them for years and safe, they are powerful and you use them entirely at your own risk. So long as you follow the step-by-step instructions, you should be fine. But if you feel unhappy or uncomfortable while you're using the methods, please stop straight away. Okay, method step 3 is about healing the energy channels of the body. And the main starting point for this is the forearms of the bones, the long bones here. Now this has built up over the past few months, this perception of how important this part of the body is. The bone marrow of the forearms seems to be the headquarters of all the bone marrow in the body. Whatever goes on in the forearm bone marrow, the information, the decisions, whatever it is spread all through the body from the bone marrow of the forearms. All the other bone marrow receives from the forearm bone marrow. That's how it looks. Also, there's a lot of connection points here. There's an energy channel that flows through our bodies, and information is put into that energy channel in the bone marrow of the forearms. I've blogged about this and I'll probably do some more videos about this because this energy channel is becoming more and more important. It's becoming more and more a factor of long-term, its breakdown is becoming more and more a factor of long-term chronic conditions. And interestingly enough, it also appears to be a major factor in dementia, which when it started working came as a pleasant surprise to see that it seemed the method would have some effect on dementia. Going back to the forearms, it's complicated. Everything in the forearms, as I say, this seems to be a junction for a lot of other things. The forearms put information into the energy communication channel, as I'm putting it, that circulates through our body. And this energy communication channel seems to encase or cover the nervous system. So from the bone marrow it goes into the communication channel information, and from the communication channel it seems to go into the nervous system. The problem is when this communication channel gets damaged, which is energy, the communication channel is an energy communication thing, it's composed of energy, the damage passes on to the physical. So if the communication channel, is damaged, that damage goes through into the nervous system and damages the nervous system. That's how it appears. And because there's a flow of energy in the communication channel to the brain, any harmful substances that get into the communication channel, like some harmful energy particles, they get into the brain through the channel and damage the brain. The energy channel disseminates energy throughout the body. But when there's something bad gets in there, which is what's happening, then the whole body is affected. I'm going to go into this on other videos and blogs, but suffice to say this method heals the energy channel and puts a lot of long-term conditions or it helps a lot of long-term conditions to help people with them conditions, to help them with the suffering of it all. The other thing is that the bone marrow also has a program that works through it. The bone marrow, there's the immune system that comes from the bone marrow, then there is another energy program that works through the bone marrow. Now the thing is, with working with energy, the great thing is, or the lucky thing is, that energy is a lot easier to heal. You don't get many permanent problems in energy. Once the body is damaged, it can get damaged to the point where it can't be recovered, it can't be healed, or the problem can't be remedied. But with energy, you can remedy the problem in energy, and then the remedy, because the energy is now working properly, is working correctly, all that the correct way of working will now feed through to the physical. So heal the energy and you heal indirectly the physical. That's the idea anyway. Okay, so the next step is to demonstrate the method. And before I do that, I would like to say, it's a bit strange this one, because I've worked on my own, or worked pretty much on my own for the best part of 20 years. And in recent years I've been collaborating with a friend, Gavin, who has had tremendous insights, tremendous input, and frankly has helped me out a lot when I've been stuck. And it's great. And he turned up and I was talking to him about method 3 that I was working on, and I'd figured out it was an oil-based method. The oil is a reflection of the weak nuclear effect or force. If you've watched previous videos, you know that each method embodies one of these forces or effects that we have in the universe. And the last two methods were about electromagnetism, using batteries, the fields, and this method is about the weak nuclear force, which I believe I've mistakenly called it the strong nuclear force in previous videos, but is the weak nuclear force as far as my layman's understanding goes, looking in Wiki. But yeah, I'd figured out it was using oils. But anyway, Gavin turned up and he more or less showed me the entire method. He saved me months of work, and not only that, I think with his explanation of using the aspirin as an accelerant, as he called it, he first of all, I didn't see that. I didn't see that, and I'd be very doubtful if I ever would. And until I started using the method, I did not understand why the oil would need an accelerant. But it became apparent because with the energy channel, to get the movement, the energy moves through the energy channel in a kind of siphonic effect. It moves through the body into the brain, and then the brain separates it and uses the energy it needs, the information side, and the waste energy it doesn't need, it dumps into the fluid that surrounds the brain. So it acts like a siphon. The constant outgoing of energy from the brain into the fluid sucks up more energy, keeps the energy flow going. It's great. But when it all stops, it gets congested, it gets damaged, the whole thing grinds to a halt, and all these problems with stagnant energy and all the rest of it, confusion comes in the brain. When that happens, when you can repair the energy channels, which is what the oils do, but they would not get the energy flowing again on their own. What needs to be done is a very small amount of aspirin mixed with the main oil that I use, the flax oil, to get the energy going, to get the flow moving until the siphonic effect can take over. It's brilliant. And as I say, Gavin turned up and just explained this. He explained the use of cotton wool, and he explained the use of using just a couple of drops of oil instead of using a lot of oil. The principle that's been established of using these methods in proximity, that is, they're placed on the body, still remains. It is still using the energy field, the energy field that the oils generate through the weak nuclear effect. So we're still on fields, and those fields already have the energy of the oils within them, so we're not adding anything to the oils. This method, at the moment, I'm demonstrating what I always think of as the general method. This is the general method that sets out the principle. So once you've got that, more oils can be tried and used and see how they work. And if I get a chance, I intend to use other oils. One oil I'm looking at is Obus oil, trying that. And another oil I'll be looking at, grapeseed oil, be looking at that. But what I'll do is I'll work out more about the oils, and I'll probably post a supplementary video on those, because at the moment I just want to demonstrate the main techniques, setting out the general principles, so that frankly if anything ever happens to me, at least it's in the public domain. It's on YouTube, and I don't know, maybe I can die a happy man. Right. So, the cotton wool is important. That is a great, how do you say, conductor or medium. Medium's probably a better word, a transference medium. It allows the field to work. Okay, so finally we get to the method. What will you need? Well, you'll need cotton wool. I've been using these pads that I think mainly women use to remove makeup with. So you've got some of these, you take your makeup off. That's what people use, I think. I don't know, because I don't take off makeup personally. With a pair of scissors, cut them into small, or fairly small, squares. About an inch if you're on imperial sizes, or about 25mm if you're not. There you go. And these are quite thick, because one of the techniques used is to peel them and put the oil inside. Right, so you'll need a fair few squares. Not sure exactly how many, 3, 6, 7, 8 I think. So cut up a few pads before you start. Size isn't important in this one. Right, that's the cotton wool. I use sellotape just to stick them onto a person, although there's no reason why you shouldn't use plasters, just ordinary sticking plasters. Just make sure they're big enough for the cotton wool to sit in the centre. And it's a dearer way of doing it, but if you are sensitive if you've got sensitive skin and you're sensitive to sellotape, then that's what I advise. Okay, the oils. The main oil I've been using, organic flaxseed oil. As always, take no notice of the brand names. These are just what happened to be on the shelf when I went into the local health food shop. Organic flaxseed oil. Okay, it's a nuisance buying this amount, because you're only using drops. So if you do buy some, be happy in the thought you've probably got enough for life. And if you're working together with people on this, it might be worth that you group buy. So one person buys the flax oil, another person buys something else, and so on. So you can spread the costs. Walnut oil is another one. That's for the brain. Okay, that's for the brain cells. The flaxseed oil, I didn't say, is brilliant. It repairs the conduit of the energy system. It repairs the actual outer sheathing of the energy. It gets into the energy flow, and mixed with aspirin, it moves through the body and pushes out all the congested energy that's in the channel, all the way up to the brain. And when it gets to the brain, it flushes all the congested energy out of the brain cells. Now this really surprised me, because I've noticed over the years that people with dementia, their heads are full of this solid, it's like a very intense concentrated energy that leads to confusion. So it's always been a question of how to get this energy out. Well, I've been giving it some thought. I haven't really got a method on it. Sorry mate, I'm videoing. You'll have to come back later. I haven't really got a method on it, but it was a pleasant surprise when the flax oil did it for me. It flushed out all this confusion energy, all this stagnant energy that sits in the brain cells. It stops the brain or the cells from functioning properly. It leads to massive confusion and is a major part of dementia. The brain can't work properly, so you get other problems as well with memory and all kinds of things. So I'm hoping this will lead on to a lot of help, a lot of relief for people, for dementia sufferers. Right, so that oil, that's one oil, the walnut oil. Then we got coconut oil. Now this was interesting because coconut oil, again this is pricey, this in UK money it's about £6 or £7. I couldn't find it anywhere cheaper. You might get it online cheaper. Again, the brand doesn't matter, get it wherever you can. But it's a brilliant oil for flushing out decay. And decay is a major factor in so many things in our body. It goes from, you can have tooth decay, you can have decay building up in the joints, and I'm talking about the energy of decay. When you get rid of the energy of decay, a lot of decay will clear out of the system as well. It's great for clearing out decay. A lot of forms of arthritis are based on this decay type energy. Yeah, it's so good I've decided to make it part of the main method, the general method. So you've got walnut oil, coconut oil, which it says is virgin oil. I don't know if it makes any difference. Raw virgin oil, and organic flaxseed oil. There's no reason for virgin oil or organic oil. It's just it's hard to buy anything else. Aspirin, just basic aspirin. Again, no brand name, just get some aspirin. Okay, so let's get on to the method. Oh, I use a dropper. I use a dropper for convenience. Okay, so we've got a dropper. Now the method is to use 2 drops. So with a dropper or whatever way you use, you put 2 drops. Now I'm using the flaxseed oil first, and I put 2 drops onto a plate. That's all you need, because the oil has tremendously strong energy. It doesn't need a lot of it. It's got the power within it. As I say, my friend Gavin, he pointed a lot of this out, and what I would like to do, I'm in discussion with him about us videoing our conversations together, because the stuff that comes out is really, really important, I think. It's well worth videoing, and the only way to find out if other people think so is to video it, put it on YouTube and see what others think, see if anyone can get any benefit out of it. Now you need just a small pinch of aspirin. Here's an aspirin I've been using before, and you just need just a small bit. Don't know if you can see that. That's it. You can see just that small piece. And you just drop that into the oil, just there. That can be seen. Drop it into the oil, and then I usually get something just to mix them up with. Just the flat of a knife. Just mix them up. Crush the aspirin and just mix it up with the oil. One of the pads and just peel it apart. The oil goes in the centre, there is no contact with the skin. In fact, if you make contact with the skin, it probably won't be as effective, if it works at all, because we've been rubbing oil into each other for thousands of years. So I think if it was a case of skin contact, it would have been found a long time ago. So the pad, you just peel it open a little, enough, and then soak up that can be seen. Soak up the oil and the aspirin mixture into the pad. Just close it. Then I usually put the thick side on the inside of the forearm. There are 4 main places we use. The inside of the forearm, as always, the base of the throat, and the nape of the neck. That's where the pads go. Get some sellotape. Like so. And then about there. This isn't, you're not looking for any particular point, just wherever it is in the middle of, about the middle of the arm. Leave some space because you're going to have two more in there on both sides. Okay, so that's that, that's one. And then make another one up with the flaxseed oil and the aspirin and place it on the other side, on the other arm. And then make up two more and place one on the base of the throat. Like so. Just the base of the throat, and you can place the others above it, it's alright. And then another one on the base of the neck. On the nape of the neck is the point I usually go for. It's a bit tricky working on your own. I don't know if you can see, like that. On the base of the neck, just on that bone if you can get it. And then the other two sit on top. So that's the oil mixed with the aspirin. I'll show you how to do the others in a sec, but first of all, how long? Now, how long do they stay on for? The great thing about this is that you will be mobile. You won't be like the other methods, stuck, unable to move for a while, for a few hours. So if you use a zip up top that covers what's on your throat and neck, you can just go about your business. With long sleeves, nobody will know that you've got these on. I'm quite often walking around the town or going about my business with stuff on, nobody's any the wiser. Okay, it needs to stay on for up to 3 days. But the good news is, don't do it all at once. Don't do 3 days in one go. I wouldn't even recommend it. I would say leave them on all day, say 8 to 10 hours, and then take them off and see how you feel. Because this is a powerful method. It is a powerful method. It will be working its way, it'll be repairing the energy conduit, the energy communication channel. It'll be repairing that. The oil will get into the channel and start flushing out all the bad energy that's got in there, all the damaging energy that's caused the damage in the first place. It'll be flushing all that out, and I would give it a chance to do a bit of that until you give it another go. So personally, I would keep them on all day, put them on in the morning, take them off in the evening, get a good sleep, and see how you feel about carrying on the next day. If you want, if you don't feel anything, just leave them on for 3 days. How you'd get on with washing, I don't know, but 3 days, it's 3 days in total, that's 3 days and 3 nights. If you're doing it in sections, just be aware that it's 3 days is 72 hours, so you need about that sort of time in total. So if you do 10 hours a day, you're looking at a week, 7 days to get the full benefit. 3 days really is overkill. I usually do 2, and you might want to discontinue after 2 if you're not feeling any benefit. But because it's the internet, because you don't know, how people are going to respond or react or how much they need, I usually include a bit extra, a margin. Okay, so we've got one on about there. The next one, doesn't matter which one you do. Let's go with the coconut oil because that's solid. Again, get a pad, peel it open, get just a small amount of coconut oil, not a lot needed, just a scrape on the knife, and then just place it inside the pad, like so. Get the sellotape again and just sellotape with pad and on the inside of the forearm again, so that the power goes into the bone marrow, which is where so much damage is going on, so much damage to the energy channel is in the bone marrow. That's its point of access. It's where it attacks, the damage attacks. That's how it gets in. That's where it needs to be healed. Okay, so you now got 2, so do the same with the coconut oil on the other arm, the throat and the neck. So now you've got 8 pads on you, 4 with flaxseed oil and aspirin, just a small amount of aspirin, and 4 with coconut oil. Now the last oil I use is walnut oil, and you do that exactly the same. You take 2 drops. You don't need a plate for this one, you can just take 2 drops with a dropper and place 2 drops directly into the pad, and with a bit of sellotape just tape it onto your forearms like so. And you do the same, you want 4 of these, forearms, neck and throat. Sensitive people will feel it working, you feel the power of it. It builds up over a period of about 3 weeks, and as I say, this is Healing with Energy Step 3, and the idea is to repair and flush out the energy communication channel, as I'm calling it, that flows around our body. Damage to this channel leads on to harm, is a factor in conditions, long-term chronic conditions, and it appears dementia as well. Once the brain has been flushed out of the stagnant energy, fresh energy comes in. The flow is re-established, the siphonic effect starts up again, and the brain is a lot lighter, it is a lot able to deal with problems. Instead of despair, hope comes, light comes, because the damage is, the congested energy brings darkness, and there is a huge improvement in health. This is step 3. Now then, step 4, now you observant people might have noticed I've said nothing about combating what causes the damage, and that, amongst other things, is going to be what step 4 is about, and that looks very interesting. That is about using metals. We're getting to metals which embody the force or effect of gravity. We'll be using different metals such as gold, silver, tin, lead, iron, I'm not sure about mercury. It don't seem right. I don't know about mercury. No, it don't seem right at all. Copper, yeah, probably be using copper. So when we get to it, it will be step 4 will be metals. Right, well, I'm about talked out. I'm going to stop now, put this on YouTube. I hope I've covered everything. Excuse me. I wouldn't want to go through this video again. There's far too much information gone into it. It's far too much information. As I say, as more gets found, I'll post supplementary videos on step 3. I fully expect people to run with this themselves. They'll see the general principles set out. Once they click onto how it works, they'll be using their own oils, their own ideas, and they'll be studying and developing for themselves. As I've said before, my idea is simply to set out general principles and just to keep going forward for as long as I can. Okay, there's a blog with this, and we're on Facebook as Healing with Energy. There's a Twitter, Healing with Energy. Yeah, Connected Universe. Okay, I'll stop at that. When you've finished with the pads, just dispose of them carefully. As I say, if you have any problems with this, stop straight away. If you have any questions, there's an email link, or you can post comments. Thank you very much for listening and getting this far. It's much appreciated. Thank you. I'll see you on the next one.